Hey guys, this is Alan with Sustainable Intentions and your podcast, Real People, Real Ideas. And we are on episode 5 now with our guest Umar Qamar, whose company is ELO, which used to be Export Leftovers. Yeah. So Umar, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Umar. I'm from Pakistan and I work in the sustainable fashion space. I come from a family of textile people. Everybody around me has something to do with textiles. And from a very early age, I knew that I was going to do something in textiles because, I was just like with these emerging and energetic people who were just making textiles.
Yeah.
So I finished my university and then I got back to Pakistan and I started working for my father in the factory, and it very quickly I realized that there is a lot of leftover when an export order is finished.
Yeah.
So my father works for companies like Marks and Spencer, Next, Gap, American Eagle in Europe and America. So he gets these orders and then he makes the clothes for them, and once the order is completed, there's extra either fabric or finished products sitting in his warehouse. And we cannot sell it to customers because they're extra pieces, so Gap and Marks and Spencer wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
So we detag them and then we sell it to customers in Pakistan, and then with the extra fabric we make something like these bags or these zip cases, which we'll talk about later probably.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of leftovers when you finish making. So the companies order like really large quantities normally.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like, for example, like Gap would order 100,000 polo shirts in 20 colors.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the times Gap would order these 20 color polos and they'll say, so 5,000 in each color.
Mm-hmm.
So because they want a combo for each store to get it, so they'll say we want 100 polos in red color, blue color, like all those 20 colors, and they have to be 100 each, and the packing needs to be 2,000 for each store.
Yeah.
So if you make maybe 10 pieces extra in blue, then that parcel wouldn't go because you made 10 pieces extra. So that is another reason that we have leftovers, because these companies in Europe and America are just so strict with the packing. They want everything to be done by the manufacturers now. So if we have extra, then we have to calculate everything and we have to make sure that they get their consignment as they asked us to do.
So you have all of this leftover. You have like leftover materials, like product, and how much, like. So what can you do with it? You know, like what normally happens to it?
So normally what happens is it would sit in the person's warehouse for a long time.
Yeah.
Because like making a kilo of fabric is maybe $6 or $7. So once they have the order is complete, they have the fabric, they'll wait for somebody in Europe or America or even in Pakistan to place an order of similar fabric. So there's like a lot of waiting game.
Yeah.
And
then they would include that in the other order of fabric, or they take from that extra supply and ship it out. But it just sits for a long time
because everybody is like, I have put in so much money in making this fabric, I don't want to have a loss.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times there is no order. So for example, in Pakistan it's hot all the time, so you make fleece fabric like for hoodies. And what are you going to do? Because nobody wants hot fabric, nobody wants warm fabric in Pakistan. So they'll just sit down hoping that somebody in Europe and America would come and take that order from them.
And eventually, if it stays for too long, does it?
The quality goes down and the durability goes down. So what we have come in, we are just like, we buy the fabric from these factories, obviously at a lower price. And so it helps with their cash flow, because everybody wants to straighten up their cash flow. So they cannot just wait forever for this right customer to come.
Yeah.
They cannot like stock up their warehouse with these fabrics. So we started off with my father's factory, and my father's factory is a medium-sized factory in Pakistan actually. But he gets about 700,000 kilograms of leftover fabric every year.
700,000 kilograms of leftover fabric every year.
And before we started the company, we were just like, it was just stocking up the warehouse basically.
Yeah.
And or we'll just give it to somebody, or we'll try to make our, just sell it at like really low price because it's like pennies.
Yeah.
And
so you had all of this leftover, and there's a bunch of other factories and manufacturers in the same area that all have the same problem. And so you decided to take that problem and turn it into something useful, a solution.
Yeah.
And so tell us a bit about that.
So when I started off, we were, I'll just tell you how I started the company.
Yeah.
So when I finished university, I got back, I was in Pakistan, I was started working with my dad, and at that time there was like a retail revolution in Pakistan. Like a lot of companies, a lot of new brands were popping up, and I wanted to start a retail brand. And I had a graphic designer with me and some fashion designers with me, and we made a range. Took us 6 months to complete the range. We had like 20 designs, and when it came to manufacturing, I went to my dad and I was like, I need to get these products made. Told me, son, I'm sorry, but the factory is doing quite well. We have a lot of orders from Europe and America. I cannot make it for you. But at the same time, we were working with a company in Canada who had placed an order for $500,000 with us, and they gave us 50% advance.
Yeah.
Okay, and then 50% was at the delivery. But when we started making the fabric, we were stitching the product. It was finished, basically. We got the sad news that the company has gone bankrupt.
So you now made an order, or had all the things to finish an order for them. You've gotten half of the money.
Yes.
But
the company went bankrupt. So we had the money, half of the money, and we had the finished goods.
Yeah.
But they were not going to give us the 50% because they didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So we were stuck in a very tricky situation. We had the money, we had the product. So we detagged the label of the company and started selling in Pakistan because we needed to recover our cost for the product. And that's how it started. And we quickly found out that it was not us. There are a lot of companies who actually go through the same process, that they would make work for some company, they'll make production for some company, and then a European company would say, well, we think that it's going to be a slow summer or slow winter, or we don't foresee the sales to be like that, so we want to cancel the orders. But the company has the fabric or the product's done. So we found out that it's not our problem, it's an industry-wide problem. And every single person I met who had to do something with textiles had this issue. So
then that ends up sitting there until you can find somebody else to sell it to.
And normally it doesn't happen.
Because there's specific products for a company. A lot of times they're labeled for that company, or you get a polo shirt, it's stitched with
So who's gonna buy a Gap polo shirt which is made for Gap, and like Abercrombie or Nike is not gonna buy a Gap product. So we kind of like took it and then sold it in Pakistan.
So you're essentially taking all of those, if other companies have stuff like that as well, then you're buying them at a discounted price, you're re-tagging or labeling them, and then now you have a company that's just selling all of these leftover products that were going to go to waste otherwise. That's really clever.
So that's what we did.
And so then tell us about these products, because these are made from the leftover fabrics from different.
So so we make a lot of polo shirts, and what we try to do is we have a company called Polo Republica. So ELO is the website. Polo Republica is our own brand, which is registered worldwide, and we only exclusively use leftover fabrics and material to make products for Polo Republica. So whatever we do for Polo Republica, if we are making a zipper, the zipper would be left over for some order from Europe or America. The buttons, every single thing.
Even the thread, you were telling
yeah,
me,
even the thread
that you're using to stitch it together
is going to be left over. So
product.
for us, it's kind of like a reverse design idea, because traditionally what happens is they make a design, and then they make the fabric, and then they make the product. With us, we have the fabric and we have to reverse engineer it. So we use those fabrics to make a design.
Yeah.
So in this case, we were making polo shirts, but then we found out that we don't have fabric for the main body of the polo shirt. We just had collars.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with collars? You cannot
collar. Nobody
just collars.
Wants 100,000 collars.
Yeah.
Just sitting
so
around.
we had like these random collars. You can see like black, navy, green.
All the different.
So we just made them. We just stitched them together.
Yeah, and you can even feel that's collar material.
Yeah.
You know the feeling of a polo.
And then the loops are basically the pocket loops for chino pants.
Okay.
So we had like
little side ones.
Yeah. So we had those pocket loops for the chino pants, and we made this, and then the inner material is of a waterproof jacket. Cool. So this is all leftovers, which was just sitting in our warehouse, and we said, okay, we need to consume this fabric, and we came up with this product because the mission of the company is we want to eliminate we want to eliminate all waste, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the zip case actually. So the zip case is basically just a small piece of fabric we couldn't make anything out of it, so we made a zip case. The zip is actually left over of a pocket of a jacket, so we found a good way to utilize the fabric and the zip.
Yeah, and so these products are available for shipment anywhere, right?
Not at the moment, only in Pakistan, because we have a very expensive shipping outside Pakistan, but we are looking into making it worldwide.
Yeah, and what would be the cost of a bag like this?
So we are selling it for like $2.
$2.
Because my mission is that we want to make sustainability affordable and available for everyone. If I am getting the fabric at a lower price, I want to pass on the savings, because if you really want to start a green revolution, you have to make it affordable. Otherwise, nobody's going to buy it. So.
Yeah, that's one of the big problems, and we were talking about that before, is that we come up with all these ideas on how to make things more sustainable, and then we charge 3-4 times the price of what somebody would normally pay for something that's sustainable. So basically, we're making it like, if you want to help the planet, you have to be rich.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Essentially,
that's how the companies are targeting. I would say that you need to be sustainable, but you need to pay the premium to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Why should I pay a premium? Like with my company, for me actually, it's cheaper to use these sustainable fabrics because the factory wants to improve their cash flow. So in an economic standpoint, it makes sense as well. It's not only like for me, the whole business model makes sense because it makes it affordable and available. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And so you've also gone and checked out some of like the sustainable fashion shows and that whole industry, which is based mostly in Europe right now.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about it?
So I was in Copenhagen at the Sustainable Fashion Conference in 2016. I had always wanted to do something with sustainability, and that was my chance when I went there in 2016 to find out what's actually going on. And there were 1,500 people from all across the world, magazine editors like GQ, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, people from Nike, Diesel, all the top people management were there, and then we were the only manufacturers. So they were talking about we need to redesign the sustainable garments industry, but unfortunately we were the only factory owners. And
was that by invitation, or
it was
it
was for invitation, but I paid the ticket.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know what's going on.
Know more about
what's going on. So I went to the conference director, who probably hates me now, because I said to him that why didn't you invite the factory owners, because they are the biggest stakeholder. They're actually going to make your clothes.
Yeah.
And his answer was that this is just the second conference, it takes time, so we're going to encompass them in the future conferences. But the interesting thing which I found was having a chat with this creative designer for G-Star, which is a famous Dutch jeans brand. And he was telling me about this beautiful story about how he collects the bottles from the ocean and then brings them back to factories in Asia, and then they regenerate that plastic into yarn, and then they make jeans out of it. Beautiful story, loved the documentary, did a clip playing as well, and but for me the bottom line was, what's the price?
Yeah.
And he's like 350, 400 euros, and for me I was like, so you're telling us to buy that jeans because it has a beautiful story, and you're saving the ocean from these plastic bottles, but how many people can actually afford that?
Yeah, how many? It's not sustainable as an idea, because the whole, like, what comes in with the whole sustainable thing is that it has to be something that everybody can do, a change that everybody can make. Like all of these little changes that are going on. They're really important, even the little stuff, but to spend 350 euros on a pair of jeans, I mean, unless they can guarantee that those jeans are going to last me for the rest of my life, but it's just not. And then, it's a common problem that we're seeing, I was touching on it before, is that, it comes with a price. It's organic, organic food needs to cost more. It costs 2-3 times, like, in the United States we have Whole Foods. It's where you go to get like all the organic stuff, but we call it whole paycheck. Yeah, because that's what you're spending to try and get organic.
And that's what I think, that we, like, the consumer is duped into like believing that it's going to cost me more because it's organic. But I'm a manufacturer, and I can say that it doesn't cost you like twice or thrice to be sustainable, organic, or like, if like fair trade, and like if you pay your people the right wage and you use environmental friendly practices, it definitely doesn't cost you that much more. And if you're using sustainable fabrics, in my case, which are leftovers, it's actually cheaper. So I don't really understand when people are like, oh, this is sustainable, it has to be expensive. No, it doesn't need to be expensive.
And so I mean, we still have hopes, though, that the sustainable fashion industry is going to do a bit more with the manufacturers as well. But are you trying to get around that and maybe like finding your own designers, or?
So we are currently, because the thing is we have so much fabric that we were like, okay, we will work with the designers, but at the same time we started off with a basic range. Yeah. Because because this is, I think this is quite basic. So because there's so much fabric around that we had to start off, and then obviously we are, like, I'm meeting people in Bali, I'm meeting people in Pakistan, I'm connecting with people in Denmark and Copenhagen. So everybody is interested in working in that space. So there's a lot of attention, a lot of people want to do stuff. And the issue we have, which kind of like as a problem for designers, is like, we don't know how much fabric we have for blue or red or green. So they make a design and it would be very limited edition. So it has to be, so that it's sometimes it's a lot, like maybe 50 kilos of fabric. Yeah. So that is a problem for the designers.
But for, like, say for these bags, if you can pretty much guarantee that there's going to be leftover collar material from all of the factories, because there's so many factories there, right? So you might not get the same color for every bag, but it's essentially going to be the same bag. Maybe the dimensions would have to change slightly, but not too much, right? Yeah. So then, how do we work on getting something like that to, to, like, say, the United States or to Europe? We don't use plastic bags in grocery stores now. They sell you those cheap manufactured. Well, we have like cloth style bags, but they're quite cheap and they still charge you $1 or $2 for them anyways, and then they break after a while, or so. What would the size for like an order need to be in order to make it cost effective to ship it?
For us, it's like making the bag is not that expensive because we're just using the leftover. It's the delivering.
Yeah.
So delivering anything from Pakistan to US is expensive. That is the only concern. If we can look for a cheaper option on delivering the product, then I think even 500 pieces or 1,000 pieces are doable. It's just the shipping is just so expensive that we haven't really looked into going to US, because with us, we are kind of like making like for me, Pakistan, because I'm from there and the company is based there, we are trying to educate people in Pakistan about sustainability.
Yeah.
That you don't need to go to a store and buy a shirt for like $20. You can buy the same quality shirt for $5, and it's going to be sustainable. It was made for probably a European brand, like the fabric was made for a European brand, but we had extra fabric. So it's the same quality as you're going to get in Europe, but for a local brand called Republic.
Yeah,
so we have that angle, and we're trying to explain it to the people in Pakistan.
And otherwise it's going to go to waste. So do you guys have any other like sustainable education type programs that are going on right now?
So what we are trying to do is we are trying to connect, like, a lot of people, when we talk about meat industry, they want to know where their meat comes from.
Yeah.
So with us, we are trying to do the same. We want to tell a story about who made your clothes.
Yeah.
So we have this segment on our website which basically tells stories of the people who actually made your clothes.
Yeah.
And then they are like really touching stories, because a lot of females work in the factory, so the women have beautiful stories to share about courage, and we want to have a deeper connection between the consumer and the person who made the clothes.
Yeah, it's important. I think that in so many different aspects of our lives, it's more important. It's really important that we start getting in touch with the whole cycle, the whole process of how we get things. Just like you were saying, with where our food comes from, where our clothes come from, where our furniture comes from. When we start to pay attention more to these type of things, then we feel that connection. And when we feel connected to people, we're more likely to do good things for them. The same thing with the planet. When we know where our food comes from, when we realize that that cob of corn that we just threw away after taking 2 bites and didn't even finish it took 4 months to grow from seed, and then how it got to your table and how many people had to put work into it, then it makes you a little less likely to just throw it away without thinking about it.
So what I'm trying to do is like making the whole garment industry more transparent.
Yeah.
Like, I want to tell where the fabric came from, who made your clothes, and connecting it to the consumer so he understands about the value of the product, because right now people don't understand. Don't really understand anything. They don't know the story, and I believe that these are the power of storytelling is very important, and we need to implement in our lives and in our consumer behavior. So that's what I'm trying to do.
And as consumers, like from your point of view with your project and as a manufacturer as well, are there things that we can do as consumers to help promote the whole sustainable industry?
I think ask questions, because a lot of the times the consumer doesn't really know what he's buying, and they don't.
Other than the color and the price.
They don't know. So I think I encourage my customers to ask questions. And then there are people in my team who will reply to them, and then if they're like, okay, we want to know exactly what happened with this fabric, why was it left over, tell us the story, and I want, because people just don't know. That's the problem with sustainability. People actually don't know what sustainable is. Some people think it's organic, some people think it's like, if you treat your labor correctly, it's sustainable. So there's no universal definition of sustainability, which is the biggest problem. So because it's so broad,
It is very broad.
It is very broad. So like you and you need to ask more questions to make it more specific, and that's what I think.
Yeah,
the consumer needs to do.
You can be sustainable in one area and be completely unsustainable in another area as well. It's one of the things that we're trying to do with Sustainable Intentions is to help people see it from a lot of different views. You know, like sustainable travel, like what's sustainable for you as a person? Like what can you afford to do? What can you, and is travel sustainable for your health? Like is working too hard and being overworked and stressed out bad for you? And then where you're going, are they doing sustainable things? Are you staying at places that are doing good things for the environment? So yeah, there's always a lot of different inputs, a lot of different just areas of sustainability. So then what do you see, like where do you see this going? What's your dream for this company or this idea?
So for this company, the dream is basically we want to start off with the smaller goals so we can go to the bigger dream. So the smaller goal is like actually consuming all that 700,000 kilos of fat.
Yeah. So
annually.
That's the primary goal is not to have any leftover waste from the factory.
Exactly. And then obviously in my area, I wanna go to the other factories. Like we already work with 20 factories, which are smaller than us, and we pick up their leftover and we make products out of that.
Yeah.
So the ultimate goal is expanding into different industries who have these leftovers, like shoes. A lot of leather in Pakistan, which has a similar problem, and a lot of woven, like the shirt I'm wearing, which comes from a woven factory. A lot of these factories have the same issues. So just getting into that, which is like a five-year goal, and then obviously like 10-15 years is like making it global and making an impression on the globally.
Yeah, and so right now the setbacks as far as globally growing your company are shipping costs and government.
I would say, but with governments, it's very hard to do business, from Pakistan abroad. The other thing is, coming from Pakistan, nobody wants to buy a Pakistani brand. That is a big problem because, we have had terrorism and a lot of, you don't really have a soft power. So when somebody talks about Pakistan, it's like terrorism, or bombings, or religion. And getting out of that image is very hard. So improving the soft image of Pakistan is one of the biggest hindrance of me expanding into Europe because we are in Bali and Bali itself is a brand. Anything you just put a name Bali is people are gonna buy it. So that is the problem. Like we don't really have a soft image, and improving that image, we need help from the government, we need help from the consumer as well, to say that, okay, this guy's from Pakistan, he is doing something with sustainable products. So we need efforts from people outside to help us bring the brand outside Pakistan.
And Pakistan is also not as big of a manufacturing company as say like China or somewhere else like that. But it's
big,
largely into manufacturing.
It's big, but it's like maybe 5th or 6th largest in the world. It's not as big as, for example, Bangladesh or Vietnam, but it's still in the top 10 manufacturers.
And so have you encountered that firsthand, like talking to potential clients and then finding out that you're Pakistani or that the company is from Pakistan and then they don't want to do business with you?
I would say like
it's just people don't look there first if they're...
Okay, so for example, if it's like Disney pulled out their operations from Pakistan because because of the problems we were having with terrorism back in the day. They pulled out and they were like, okay, we don't want to send our buyers into Pakistan to visit the factories right now. So we had that problem. Like now situation has improved. But like my father used to work with this company in Denmark called Bilka, which is a superstore. and those guys would meet him in Bangkok. So they'll be like, we're going to have a business meeting. We're not going to come to Pakistan where the factory is. Want to have a face-to-face meeting, but it's going to be in Bangkok. So it made working in Pakistan very hard, because of that negative image we have.
Yeah.
Because nobody wanted to travel to Pakistan.
So I guess in the big cycle of sustainability comes in also the image and the problems with strict religion and violence and stuff like that, which I'm not saying is just one-sided at all. That's interesting, because we do tend to look at things as like black and white. Like, oh, this is sustainable, this is not sustainable, but not all of the other elements that are involved in it.
So like I would just give you an example. Like if there is a brand who's doing sustainable things in Pakistan, and then there's a brand who's doing sustainable things in Bali, people will go to Bali.
Yeah.
They'll pick the Balinese product, and that's the problem. That they don't want to look into it, they don't want to understand what this guy in Pakistan is doing, which is an issue.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to share about your products or where you're going? Or
I was like, just an observation is when we were talking about the certifications the other day.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I wanted to add into the topic of certifications that as a manufacturer, I am obliged to buy these expensive certifications in order to get business from these big brands. For example, like like the common one, ISO 9001 and stuff like that, and every different company wants like a different certification, and if you want to do with them, you have to buy that certification and get audited in order to be able to get business from them. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get business. It's just like a pre-qualifier.
And they're not really government certifications. They're like third-party, private company certifications, which tend to be very expensive.
Exactly. So we'll be working with a company in UK, and then a company from Australia would send us an inquiry, and then we'll start working on them, doing sampling, everything, and then when they're about to place the order, they'll ask for some kind of certification. And if you don't have that certification, they'll be like, I don't want to place an order with you. And we have to buy, or like we have to get the certification done in order to get those orders, and which is kind of like, shouldn't I be spending that money on my employees?
Yeah, because the certifications are about like health and safety and about the quality of life for workers and things like that.
And then it's just like, okay, you're going to spend like $50,000 on a certification, which is not going to help the employees at all. It's just going to go into the pocket of a audit company, and then we might not even get the business. So it's just so strange. Like, I think that there should be if you want to get a certification, there should be one certification which is
globally recognized.
Globally recognized, because there's RAP, there's Fair Trade, there's ISO. So there's so many different certifications that S8000, for example.
And
they're different. They look into different angles, like environment
and of course, certifications. The reason for these certifications is a good reason. Like it's when I truly believe, because I used to work in inspections in the oil industry, and I believe that when they came up with these certifications, it was for a purpose. It was to try and save people's lives. It was to make the working conditions better. It was to keep people from losing limbs and all of that, or getting stuck in like a basically sweatshop or trap type thing. But they get kind of misconstrued along the way, and then it turns into exactly what you said. Like, if you are trying to do good things, now you're spending all of this money that could go to paying your employees more, or creating the better work environment, and now you have to pay that to a third party auditing company.
Yeah. So
That's interesting.
and I truly believe like companies like for example C&A, H&M, Nike, they should go into the factories and do it for free. Like if you really want to help the environment or the people, they should go and then they should train the people. And the company shouldn't pay for it.
And the companies like that are not hurting for money or cash flow anyways, like they have plenty of it. But yeah, it's interesting. But I do like what you said about a global standard, and I think it's something that we need to get into more and more. I mean, it can be hard because, of course, depending on where you are in the globe, changes a lot of things, climate, minimum wage, all of these types of things. But
and I just wanted to add, textile is the only product since the 1970s where the prices have actually gone down.
Really?
Yeah. So if you went to a shop in 1970 to buy a t-shirt, it probably cost you more.
Really?
Yeah.
The only industry.
The only industry.
Everything else is just,
So that is sad as well. Like, now it's like cutthroat. Like if the company says, I'm going to charge like $2.10, is going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or Vietnam and get it for $2. So, like we work on pennies anyway. And then you have to work on these certifications and so many different things. So it's just so sad to see the whole story in the garment industry.
It's that, like you said, cutthroat consumer economy that is saying, no, like if we can get it even for 1 penny cheaper, we don't care. It's the same reason that people will buy things that aren't sustainable because they can get it for cheaper, And I can understand that when it's a huge price difference. But when it's like, say, $1 more, and now you have something that, like I'm talking from consumer point of view. If I saw this shirt was $6, came from one company, it was $7 coming from another company, but I know that the standards for the workers are better. I know that the material that it was made out of is better for the environment, all of those things. I want to pay the extra dollar. I'd be happy to pay the extra dollar. And I think that it's important that more people start thinking in that mindset. But at the same time, if this shirt was $6 and the sustainable company wanted to charge me $25 for it, I'd buy the $6 shirt.
Exactly.
It's just where I'm at right now. So you were talking about plastic bags in the same regard. So I was asking you about the plastic bags for these bags because they were being wrapped in a plastic bag, which can kind of take away from the whole view of sustainability.
So we are working on biodegradable plastic bags, which cost us like 20% more, but the bag costs like 4 or 5p to make it. So if I have to pay like 7p, 8p, 3p or 4p extra, it doesn't really matter because the whole angle is just being sustainable, and it doesn't like as I said, it only cost me 20% more extra to make those plastic bags, and plastic bags are quite cheap to make in the first place. So,
and you don't know anything about the scale of making biodegradable plastic bags, like how what would have to happen in, say, a country like Pakistan for all of the manufacturers to switch to using biodegradable plastic bags?
I think it needs to be regulated by the government, as I was speaking to you earlier, that for this kind of like huge change to happen, it's not going to happen just like that. It's not going to be voluntary. It's going to be government making sure that people don't use plastic bags.
Or also the companies that are buying the products saying that it has to be this way, or we're not going to buy the products.
So they'll pay probably extra. They'll pay the 20% difference in the plastic bag, but it has to be somewhere else, because as I said, it's such cutthroat that the company who's making the products cannot afford to use it because they're making like so little money.
They're making so little profit per item that adding too much extra money to it is just, especially on such a large scale. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. So we need a bit more government involvement.
Yeah.
You know, and it's tough to say, especially when you talk to people like from the United States, for sure. It's like they don't want the government messing with anything that they're doing, you know, and anytime it's brought up like, well, you know, if we had an extra tax for this or we got the government involved in this, and it's like, no way. But it's hard to make that switch from a whole scale, because you have consumers who, like you said, you know, they want the cheapest price on the product, and you have manufacturers that are making these products for a company that are looking for the cheapest thing so that they can make the most profit, and so it just doesn't work. Otherwise, some person somewhere in that line takes a huge hit.
Yeah.
So it needs to be kind of worked together, you know? It's really interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to me about all this stuff. I met Umar actually at a random party.
Yeah.
It was like a common workspace party that then we went somewhere else afterwards, and I sat down and he told me about these sustainable bags that he was making out of random scraps. And of course, you know, with me launching this podcast and this website and everything, like, just got super interested in. So I invited him here, and it was really great to have you on here, and good to hear about all this stuff. I had no idea about any of this stuff going on. I really hadn't even thought too much about the sustainable fashion industry. The only things I've seen is like those trash fashion shows that they do, you know, where everybody uses trash to make stuff. But yeah, so it's really, really interesting, all of these ideas. Thank you so much for
having me on.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. One, if, say, like a designer
wants to reach out?
Yeah, wants to reach out to
Okay,
you.
I can, so my email address is umar@exportleftovers.com. You can probably read it
I
underneath
can leave a tab.
and just send me an email if somebody wants to do something with the fashion, sustainable space. You know, we are always looking for people who have similar mindset, and they want to, you know, do something with leftovers, for example. So just give me an email and we'll collaborate. I'll get on Skype and we can do something. Yeah.
And then again, your website is elo.com.pk. Okay. And so if you're interested in any of the products that they have, I don't know how much the shipping is, but
like if
so
somebody wants to check
it out.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for being on here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.